Because, no! Okay, he put it somewhere. Where did he put it? I found the empty box, but not the bottle. Give me a sec. Get you a spittoon. So what we're doing now is the Toussaint release, which is on the 1st of November, or the All Saints, 2 years after the wine's birthday. And these are the 8 Pinots and the 9 Chardonnays. And we're going to sneak the Clos Jardin where it would naturally occur in between most of our stuff, which is vineland, and the Clos Jardin is of course Jordan, but together they're 20-mile bench, but totally different. So since they're done the same way, and we're going from east to west here, we're going to slip the Clos in, because it's the same winemaker, and see if we can't see a terroir difference. So we call this mapping Niagara, one vineyard at a time, because we don't have a BIVB to do it for us. You know, we haven't got to that level of sophistication to have a governmental thing, and we're not that far along. So
how long have you been making Pinot Noir and Chardonnay here?
I've been making Pinot Noir and Chardonnay here since 2003. My last vintage in Oregon was 2002 at Lemelson Vineyards. And, but of course I went back and made my own Oregon for about 7 years. And then Niagara started to be the emptiest warehouse. Burgundy was, you know, good sales. Oregon was good sales, but Niagara was flying off the racks. And so things that make you go, like maybe I should do more Niagara in my own country. People seem to want it. So it's a limestone terroir, but it's more like the dolomitic terroir of the Alto Adige. And I'm on a trip on Tuesday heading out to the Alto Adige to see what the commonality is. And I rather suspect they get quite a bit more sunshine up there, and the wines are a little bigger and a little more dense. And we're a little more floral and a little fruitier, but we still have a solid limestone backbone.
What's the strength of Niagara as a wine region?
Well, I really think the strength of Niagara as a wine region, it's not what I do, but one of the first strengths is able to be a maritime climate and a continental climate. If you're on the bench, you're continental, and if you're close to the lake, you're very much like a maritime climate like Bordeaux or Portugal. But here on the bench, we're more like Burgundy, because once the lake stays warm in the end of the season, the summer cools down, the lake stays warm and keeps the lakeside vineyards warm, but they don't keep us warm on the bench. So the vines struggle to ripen, and I believe the mother vine pulls up more minerality that way. So we kind of sort of said, you know, hey, the bad news is we're in our 50s and we don't own anything, in our early 50s when we started. And then we said, okay, well, why don't we start to map Niagara? The good news is we don't own anything. The bad news. So over here you have the old town of Niagara-on-the-Lake. Niagara-on-the-Lake does have a bench, the Lowry Vineyard, that was planted for Carl Kaiser.
You're really focused on the bench terroirs.
Yeah, except for we have quite a bit of Gamay in Niagara-on-the-Lake, because that's the old plantings, 81, 83, 84. And it's delicious, Niagara-on-the-Lake Gamay. And then the bench, of course, is so different and so much more mineral, but equally lovely. And by the time you do our last vineyard here, that's called the Frontier Block, Grimsby Hillside, that's Hamilton. After that, it becomes Hamilton, at least in area, but the city doesn't start for a while. So it's really, we're trying to do it from one end to the other.
And you like going from east to west in tastings then?
I like going from east because that shows Niagara-on-the-Lake better. You see all its minerality. But then you get into some real crunchy minerality here. And as we've talked of before, when you take the bench going east and you cross, you're in the USA. So I'd love to do an international thing on both sides to show the terroir is the same.
Are there any vineyards there?
Yeah, there's 6 here, 6 or 7 good ones there. It tends to be very far from the lake quickly. Whereas look at our distant right here at the back cave. Look at how far we are from the lake. And so we have some effect. The Clos Jardin and our Wismar Foxcroft and Wingfield are quite far from the lake, but it pales. Look at the USA. I mean, they're really more subject to the weather. So that's why the more August vineyards in the US are down.
So once you get past the bench, you get to the ridge, yeah?
You get to the ridge.
Are there many things on the ridge?
There are, like Talon Ridge is up there. There's a bunch of vineyards up there, and we're going to try to dig into those as the years go by. And we also have to dig into Lincoln Lakeshore and creek shores here, which are very much like the Niagara and the lake of the bench.
Are they more clay dominated?
They're more clay dominated, unless there was a stream running there before, like around the Jordan Harbor, where Pearl Morissette and Hansberger are. But this winter, they got devastated, the creek shores, right? Because they're flatter and the air didn't flow out. So it's going to be a moment of reckoning for Niagara. There are vineyards to pull out, what grapes are going to be replanted. It's going to be very interesting to see.
And you're a massive Chardonnay, Pinot Noir and Gamay fan.
That's it. And aligoté when someone will plant it for me. But I can't get it thus far. So there you go. Do they say napkin in England or serviette?
Serviette, I think.
Yeah, I would say serviette, but I like. Why none of us like the barrel version of Wingfield is because there's too many used oaks that I bought from somebody. The new was perfect, the neutral was perfect, but the 1 year old.
Not good.
Jamie, taste Wingfield again. The 1 year old and 2 year old oak is from Cali. Is not sell Bachelder. Did you hear the word Bachelder in there? Never once. I'm trying to sell terroir exists here. So look, if Niagara Lake starts over there in Pinot and comes through Hank, right here, Hank, Vineland, and ends up here in a new vineyard that's Bald Family Vineyard that we're also doing way below Angel's Gate organically. Then we start here again in the east with Baishu and Wilms. And that's all I want to do with you, 1 barrel of each. Nothing exhaustive. And look at the color of Wilms, man. It never has color. It's so virus, this vineyard. Do you remember how you felt about Wilms last time we had it? So it has this red and dark fruit flavor.